Okay, so we're continuing our football club history series and we're staying in Germany and we're looking at the history of VfB Stuttgart. I think a very underrated team in German football and actually a reasonably successful team, not only domestically in Germany but also in just European football when it comes to the number of trophies won. Not as successful as they should have been, and they haven't lifted a trophy for some time, but hey, they've got a decent amount of silverware for a club of their size. So they're founded way back in 1893, so they're a very, very historical club. They currently play at the Mercedes-Benz Arena, which is a fantastic modern facility with a current capacity of 60,449. The Germans do sporting infrastructure really, really well. It's a fantastic stadium. Now, they won the old German Championship twice before the Bundesliga era. In total, they've won the German top flight 5 times. So, in the 1949-50 season is their first piece of silverware. They followed that up in the 51-52 season, and that is the old German Championship. In the Bundesliga era, they've only won the Bundesliga 3 times. The 83-84 season, the 91-92 season, and the 2006-2007 season, which is their last major trophy, is in the 2006-2007 season. So they've not had silverware for quite some time, which is where I think people tend to forget that there are other clubs in Germany other than Bayern Munich who win stuff because of that lack of success of other clubs in more recent times. They've been runners-up in the old German Championship in the Bundesliga in 4 seasons. 1935, so before World War II, they were runners-up. The 52-53 season, they were runners-up. The 78-79 season, they were runners-up. And the 2002-2003 season, they were runners-up. They won the DFB-Pokal, which is the German version of the FA Cup, 3 times, and they've been runners-up 3 times. So they've got a decent record of a 50% strike rate in finals there. They won that in the 53-54 season, the 57-58 season, and the 96-97 season. So again, domestically, okay, their success has dried up somewhat in more recent years. The runners-up, they were runners-up in the 85-86 season, the 2006-2007 season, the last season they won a trophy. They were on course for a League and Cup double that season until they lost that cup final, and the 2012-2013 season. So they haven't appeared in a cup final for a decade. The Super Cup, the DFB, or the DFL as it is now known, Super Cup, they won that in 1992. The DFL-Pokal, which is the old League Cup, which is now a defunct competition, they were runners-up 3 times in 97, 98 and 2005. The old UEFA Cup, which is now the Europa League, they were runners-up in the 88-89 season. The old Cup Winners' Cup, they were runners-up in the 97-98 season. So they've never actually won a major European final. They've been runners-up twice. The old Intertoto Cup, however, they won that in the 2000 and 2002 seasons, and that is actually, I believe, a record they hold as well in the old Intertoto Cup. Now we'll look at some of the club records. Appearance record is held by Hermann Oelichter with 460 appearances between 1973 and 1985. I don't think that appearance record gets broken anytime soon with the way modern football's going, with how players move between clubs more regularly. Goals record is held by Karl Augauer, 166 goals in 410 appearances. I think he's 3rd all-time on their appearance list between 1980 and 1991, so he was a solid goal scorer. I think that record could get broken if a striker has a very potent couple of seasons and scores a lot of goals. They could possibly overturn that, but again, that's a record that's stood for quite some time. But also, people tend to forget there's another very famous German player who started out for their local rivals, Stuttgart Kickers, moved on to VfB Stuttgart, and that's Jürgen Klinsmann. Jürgen Klinsmann, who would obviously get rather famous with some other clubs like Spurs and Bayern Munich. Between the years of 1984 and 1989, he scored 94 goals for the club. He's not on the top 10 for appearances, however. So he doesn't crack the top 10 for appearances, but for goals, he's not the all-time goal scorer. He's far short of Karl Augauer by some distance, but he's got 94. But he would do greater things at other clubs later in his career. So there we go. There's a brief history of VfB Stuttgart, an underrated club in Germany. They haven't had success for the best part of a decade, really. The last time they appeared in a cup final, the last time they won the league was back in 2007. So it's been a very, very long time since they had success. And yes, I'm still trying to disprove this myth that it's always Bayern Munich winning everything in Germany. Hasn't always been the case. Stuttgart, very historical club. They've just, I think, underachieved, but they've spent most of the Bundesliga era in the Bundesliga. They've only spent a handful of seasons outside the German top flight since the early 60s. They're a very consistent Bundesliga side. They've had some decent European runs as well. They've made 2 major European finals, unfortunately losing both. However, they've had some great historical nights in Europe, and they've had players like Jurgen Klinsmann play for them. Their rivalry with Munich is not a geographical rivalry. It's more of a massive dislike for the fact that Bayern Munich seems to hoover up all the good talent in the German league system of the last decade, which has been very, very frustrating for a lot of clubs. And there is concerns that Bayern's dominance is actually damaging the German national side and the standing of German football across Europe. But as I say, clubs like Stuttgart, they're one of the few clubs to win the Bundesliga. And I will do a video on the history of the Bundesliga since the Bundesliga was formed after the old German Championship system was overhauled in the early 60s, and how many clubs have actually won it and how many titles are spread around. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts in the comments section below, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.